This is Simon Stone from the BBC.
Oh, you're all so funny. Kevin, how do you feel looking ahead to this game? And obviously, it's another chance to win the Champions League, which clearly City have not done. What's your feelings ahead of this game?
Well, it's going to be a tough game. I think Leipzig is a really good team. You know, I played them last year. Obviously, I wasn't there in the first game, but I saw them, and they're doing really well. They have a high energy game, and it's going to be really tough. But if you want to win the Champions League, you need to beat the best teams in Europe. And every year we've been basically close, quarter-final most of the time, semis or final. Just not done the end bit yet. So we're going to try and do the same again like we try every year. And hopefully we can get a good result tomorrow, and then we'll see.
What's your general view of the form of the team? Because results-wise, you seem to be getting some kind of consistency that you've not had for the rest of the season.
I think it's been fine this year. I think the league has changed a bit. I feel like the lower teams in the classement, they are able to spend more money and buy more quality players. So I feel like all 20 teams have so much quality. So I think the level of difficulty of beating all these teams is getting tougher and tougher. But I think in the end we are second in the league. We're in 3 competitions. So I think basically in comparison with a lot of years, I feel not really different. But then, obviously sometimes there's games that you should have won, and then other games maybe we got a win where we shouldn't have won. So it depends, but I feel it's quite similar in the end.
Hi Kevin, you've played in some fantastic Manchester City teams. Is this the best?
I don't know. How can I compare a team of 7 years ago with this team? In one way, I've just been lucky to play with all of them. It's obviously a little different because there's different players. But how can I compare the season where we get 100 points with winning the 4 domestic titles? I just can't. It makes no sense. I'm very happy and lucky that I've been there and that I've been able to join in and do this stuff, and hopefully we can do the same with this team, and we'll see.
If you do manage to win the Champions League, will that be the thing that makes this team the best? Because that's the one major trophy as a group you're yet to win.
No, I don't see it that way, because if you just win the Champions League and don't win anything else, then obviously you could call the best in Europe, and I just don't know. What are the criteria of being the best team in the league? I think everybody has his own opinion on it, and I'm fine. Like I said, we want to be the best possible every other year, and in 8 years it's been pretty great.
Hi Kevin, there's been a lot of talk lately about the team maybe not using Erling's runs as much as you did in the start of the season, and Pep has also said that you should maybe find him more often. Do you agree, and do you think it's tactical from you? Is it because of the opposition adjusting? Is it because of his runs? What do you think?
Well, I think it's a little bit of everything, but I don't feel like it's more different than in the beginning. I would say people are maybe more anticipating to his runs as other teams, but I feel there's always a first part of the season and a second part. I feel in the second part there's a lot more going on. Teams are more well organized. They play for more also from both sides of the table, so I feel people are more prepared in every sense in the way, and maybe he was also a little bit more prolific when he got the chances. But I don't think we need to complain about the output of Erling in any way. So I think he's fine. I think if we see the Crystal Palace game, he had maybe 2-3 chances, could have scored 2. I don't think that there's any issue. But obviously, people are always anticipating him to score 2-3 goals, where probably his average is goal a game. So yeah, seems fine for me.
Kevin, you were talking about sort of criteria for who should be considered the best team. Everyone's sort of got a different criteria. What's yours? How do you judge?
I don't actually judge about it, I don't really think about it. It's not that I go home and think, oh, this team is good, and I compare it with other. I think can't compare any eras for me anyway. Different brand of football, different pitches, different intensity, whatever. Everything is changed. So I feel happy playing the game, and I'm also happy that I don't have to debate about these things. But it's just not what I'm really interested in. So yeah, I think it's a big talking point for a lot of people. But
obviously, you've been here a long time. You got very close in the Champions League a number of years. Is there a point where you're just sick of talking about can City win it, and you just need to get over the line just to sort of stop the noise around it?
Well, if you care about the noise, then obviously it's gonna annoy people a little bit. But like I said, we've obviously not won it, but I felt we've done really well in the Champions League, and I know people base everything on only winning, but I feel like there's been a lot of circumstances also in these type of games, and I felt, for instance, the Madrid game last year, the Tottenham game, where I think we deserve to go through and we don't. These are moments in games that sometimes these things happen, and obviously I want to win it, but I know as long as we don't, then I will come here in a press conference, I will get the same question, and I'm fine because people judge you on that. And for the rest, we just try and win these games and be the best version we can be as a team and as a person, and that's it.
Hi, Kevin, down here. You talked on Saturday about how you feel like an old man now in football terms. So how many more years do you think we've got you for?
Well, that's not what I said. I'm an old man in this game. I'm not an old man. I'm sorry with you guys, but I feel pretty young in this area. So, no offense, but I know how it works, and obviously, when people talk about you, and when you're 18, 19, you notice these things a lot more, and you know where it comes from, and I know when people sometimes talk about form or how people play, it's give and take, and I know how to manage. That's how I said it. I don't know how long I want to play. As long as I'm having fun, I will play football. But obviously, like everybody, there will be a day where it will end. But that's not something that I'm not able to think about that yet. So that's good.
And if you don't win this competition, how much of a regret would that be?
Not really. I don't regret the things that I do. I'm not that kind of person. Whatever competition I entered, I try to win it, and you lose way more than you won. But luckily enough, I've been able to win also a lot. So in one way, I'm really fortunate.
Kevin, sorry. Back to Haaland, and you can correct if I'm wrong, but this team seems to be built to protect the ball, to protect the possession. In a way, is it kind of counterintuitive to risk the possession, to enjoy the most of his runs in the middle of the process, the build-up system?
Well, yes and no, but sometimes it's also good to have different options. I think where maybe in the last 2 years people would say, oh, there's not that presence in the box, there's not enough deep runs, and now people are saying the opposite because it works in different ways. I feel like in the beginning of the season, when everything was going in and we were winning a lot of games, there was nothing going wrong, and then obviously when you lose a few points, it's different. And like I said before, I don't feel there's any issue. I have not heard anything going out of the team or Erling or anybody else. I know people outside will judge on how we play, and maybe we sometimes play a better brand of football in some games, or other years that happens. But in other games, Crystal Palace at home, for instance, he won us the game. So like I said, I think the team is really happy with him. I think he's really happy playing with us. So I think we're fine.
Kevin, you're obviously technically good enough to play any position. Would you see yourself playing more of a sort of holding midfield role as you've got a little bit older? I can use that word again. Like a Fernandinho. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm not going to be fully the same. I think when I think it was 17, 18, I've played more holding with Pep for a couple of years, and then with the national team, I basically played 5 years of a holding midfielder because we played with a 5. So I was one of the two mostly with Axel. So I have no idea. People say when you get older you go lower. With me it's the opposite. So I've been low, been up, been left, been right. I feel like I change less position now because that's the coach's decision. But whatever will come, I will try and do the job. But I will never be a Fernandinho. I can't be. We're not the same person. He's unbelievable number 6, and I just do what I do.
Guys, we'll go last two just because the manager's due as well. We'll go James in English and then German media here. Yeah?
Kevin, just following on Jamie's question and Martin's question, whatever your position ends up being, whether it's the same or it changes, you've operated at such a high level for so long. Are you a sort of player who will, once that maybe if there's any change to that, you're like, no, I'm done, or you just, is your desire to play as long as humanly possible regardless of what happens?
It's a pretty good question, to be honest. I would say I'm a perfectionist, so whatever I do, football, normal life, I will always want it to be 100%. So in that regard, if the time would come, that's something that I want to think of, should think of, but it's not necessarily, I would say, is important now. But if I think about it at this particular time, I would like to stay as high as possible, the longest as possible. But yeah, that's not only my decision. So there's something to think about, obviously. But give me a little bit.
Last question, please, guys.
Hi, Kevin. Schönen Tag. You've played in Germany for Wolfsburg, so you know the Bundesliga. How would you define the opponent you're going to face tomorrow? And how high is the risk to underestimate Leipzig, maybe?
Well, the risk to underestimate, I don't think is that big because I think we've played them now 3 times in the last two years already, and I think we already know what kind of team it is. It's high energy, high quality, intensive team, and they have that Red Bull DNA where they play a lot of players in the middle. They're very aggressive. They know how to make it a tough game, and I think they have a lot of quality. I've played against them with Wolfsburg when they were in 2nd division in the cup, I think, and it's pretty similar. I think they had Kimmich and Paulsen still there. So the quality has always been there. Obviously, I've been away for a long time, but they took a step from 8 years ago, going from 2nd division to playing top 4 and Champions League all the time. So you can't do this without having so much quality. So I'm very aware of what threats they have, but hopefully we will manage that tomorrow.